There's a lot of unusual activity in Palantir and its options chain for this Friday, July 18th. Strap in because we're going to dive into why this is. And not only that, I'm going to show you guys why it could be a very big bullish sign for the stock. So don't go anywhere because we're going to start right from the beginning. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what this potentially means for Palantir investors and potential investors. Let's get right to it. The OIC, Options Industry Council, shows where options expire. You have your quarterly expirations, which is where big hedge funds are making most of their moves. And then you have your monthly expirations because until somewhat recently, up until about 20 years ago, 2005 to be exact, you could only trade monthly options. Then they added weekly. Now the SPY is daily. And this is particular because hedge funds only really trade monthly options and quarterly options. Now they do trade weekly on occasion, but typically big money, smart money, huge investors, dark pool data is most of the time monthly, almost all the time actually. And quarterly has a lot of open interest, a lot of volume, and a lot of dark pool activity as well. And typically that's what happens around earnings and around big, huge plays. But right now we're going to focus on Palantir and the July 18th options chain, where I'm going to show you guys where Palantir is being manipulated and dragged down into the 140 range. I'm going to show you two particular options that are basically wedging Palantir between two strike prices. In fact, they're call options, and one of them is long and one of them is short. And there's so much open interest in volume and so much dark pool activity in between these strikes, it is pretty much forming a very narrow wedge on Palantir. But all of this dissipates this Friday, July 18th. So what does this mean for the stock? Well, we're about to find out. This is something I teach to my Discord all the time. So if you find this confusing and you'd like to understand more about dark pool data, you want to learn more about psychology, maybe you're new to the market and you just want to turn your losses into wins, I would love to help you do that. It's what drives me every single day. Let me show you what's really going on in the market. And if you don't believe me yet, you will after watching this video, because I'm going to show you there's a lot more going on in the market than you would think. So I was just looking at dark pool data, and there is a lot of calls that are being sold at 150, very specifically 150 and 149. And I'm going to show you why this is pretty particularly interesting. And when we go look at the call options on Palantir, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There is a lot of open interest on Palantir in the 150 range, and this is happening specifically on this Friday. If we look at these call options here, this Friday, July 18th, there is 29,000 open interest. 155 is 47,000. There's 35,000 at 152, 26,000 at 157, and then it drops off to 16,000 at 160. So essentially between 150 and 160, you have like almost 200,000 open interest. It is crazy. But then down here at 140, you have 36,000, and there's no more open interest anywhere near that, except for specifically 140. So keep that in mind. 140 is a key level, 150 is another key level, and from 150 to 160 is a range. When we go look at Palantir, we can see that 150 is right there. And then we can see that 140 is right here. And this is pretty particular because the stock has stayed, if we draw this line at 140, the stock has pretty much stayed above that most of the time, coincidentally. And the stock has also stayed below 150. So this shows you the range. And then of course we account for the stock potentially running up because I just showed you the range went all the way to 160, which is up to here. So this right here is the range in which the call options have variable open interest and volume. And this is where most of the volume is. So essentially what's going on is the stock is being held down. The 140s are likely long calls and the 150s through 160s are short calls. So then I dug into my dark pool data. And that's exactly what it is. There's a lot of 140s being bought and a lot of 150s being sold, which is a condor, which is a hedge. The stock is being held between 140 and 150. Now, if we go to next week, Open interest is 30,000, 35, 47, 26, and 16. If we go to July 25th, you'll see it's now 6,000, 3,000, 4,000, 1,000. Completely gone. 10,000 at 149. We go down to 140, and the 30,000 number is now 6,000. August 1st, same thing. Even less open interest. Go down to 140, less. Go to the earnings play the week of August 8th, 150, very little open interest anywhere. In fact, most of the open interest is around 220. Most of the open interest down low is 140 and 135, but even in earnings play, earnings time, there is no open interest anywhere. So what does that mean? Well, when there's no open interest on the call options up high, it likely means that there's not a lot of short activity there. And typically hedge funds, when they operate like this, they'll open up the window of opportunity for a stock to move and all the short positions will disappear. Now, on earnings, typically stocks are either bullish or bearish, right? If there's only two directions you can go. So to go from 100,000 open interest on either end to virtually zero shows exactly what's going on. If we look at July 18th, look at the 140, 36,000, August 8th, we look at 140, virtually nothing. All the way to the option chain, there is virtually no open interest except 220. This is essentially the hedge funds holding the stock down for July 18th, meaning after July 18th, this Friday, starting Monday, going through next week, there is a potential massive upside move that could happen on Palantir. Now, let's look at the put options. The put options have virtually no open interest. Look at 150. 218. There's no open interest. There's like maybe 3,000 plus this 5,000 way down here at 120. There's virtually no open interest compared to call options. And this is August 8th for the earnings play, which is even more volatile. Going to July 18th, we do have some 125 put options. These are highly likely, like 99.999%, almost pretty much guaranteed. These are sold puts, means bullish, because the stock's never going to 125 in a couple of days. I mean, it could, but this is almost surely a support. If we scroll up to 135, there's 11,000, there's 17,000 at 140. These are likely bullish positions. 145, again, likely bullish. Anything below 145 is likely bullish. We can see 150, there's open interest of 3,000, but interestingly enough, there's a lot of volume up here at 148. So you can see these are likely, the 150s, 149s, 148s have a high potential to be 50-50 or more, like 60-40 in favor of short. Now, in dark pool data, it does show me there's a lot of block and sweep orders, and I've tried to decipher between this activity, and a lot of these puts are bought, meaning long. These are essentially bearish positions up here, and a lot of them are long down here. And the 125s all the way through 145s are sold puts, whereas they start to turn into purchased puts, especially at 150, 149, 148. There's a lot of puts that were bought. Now, if we look at that and go to July 25th, there's no open interest, just like the call options. So what does this mean? Okay, I'm going to draw this out in red for you. So essentially, this line right here, we're going to change this line to red. So essentially, this red line down here, you've got a lot of put options between the two red lines, and you also have call options being bought, okay? But then you also have call options being sold here and here, and you have put options that are being bought here to here. So essentially, to keep this very, very simple, without confusing you guys too much, we'll clean this all up. Pretty much, there's a lot of call options being sold and put options being bought up here, okay? There's bearish movement here. Between 135 and 145, you have calls being bought and puts being sold, bullish. Okay. And that means the stock should be staying in between. And that's exactly what it's been doing in this peak. And this all ends on July 18th. So essentially, what I'm telling you is there's a very big potential that Palantir could have a little bit of a pullback down to 145, but there's also a very strong possibility, and more likely than not, that the stock will have a nice big move up. Dark pool data has a lot of things that are unusual in the options chain right now, and I just showed you not only the quarterly options, the monthly options, and I showed you that Palantir goes from lots of volume and open interest for July 18th, which is the monthly option, to virtually nothing going into earnings, which is a big catalyst event. Now, typically hedge funds won't put their money into options unless it's a monthly expiration or a quarterly. And even if they do, they wait till after the expiration on the monthly. So we won't see a real update on volume and open interest for the earnings until next week, sometime after these options expire and the books clear and close and reopen on Monday, because a lot of journaling is going to go on over the weekend. If you don't know what journaling is, it happens in the stock market. I'll explain that in a different video. If you guys want to learn more about that, put a comment below. But essentially, a lot of journaling has to happen and they have to expire. Everything's got to be rebalanced for Monday, start the new week, and then the options chain will update for earnings. However, it's not likely to change that drastically. Hedge funds typically trade the third week of the month. So there is a lot holding Palantir down right now. Now, if this is confusing you and you are looking to learn and grow your portfolio, but you don't know where to begin, and this is just too much to take in, I would love to help you and open your eyes to the stock market. Don't hesitate. Let's turn those losses into wins and let me show you what's really going on. The link to join Discord is below if you want to make the profits that you're seeing my students make on the screen. I would love to help you grow your portfolio. It's what drives me every single day. My parents raised me Catholic to try to do the right thing whenever I could, and no one's perfect, and I'm definitely not, but I do strive to do the best that I can to help others and be the best version of myself possible, which is why I love to help others succeed. And I do so by helping you grow in the stock market. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a listen to what my student Mike had to say. Here with Mike, and Mike has actually been in my Discord since virtually day one. So I'd like to introduce Mike. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Corey. My name is Mike. I'm 73 years old, and I joined the Discord to learn strategies to earn passive income. I started out with 25,000 and it's now 84,000. Can't believe it.
That is awesome. That's like a 3x return in 1 year. That's a lot.
I love it. I can't wait to get up in the morning.
Awesome. That is the goal. I'm very, very happy to hear it.
The biggest benefit for me was when we had the 2 coaching calls a week, you can interact with yourself in the coaching calls and you tell us what's going on with the current events. I just eat that stuff up because I do a lot of reading. Coaching calls bring you up to date and put you in the moment so you don't feel like you're missing everything. I would tell them that once they go into the training modules and learn all the strategies, and we post trades in the Discord, and if you take the trades and you're hitting it over 80% success rate, how can you go wrong? It's a fun ride. And boot camp's a blast. They'll have fun with the boot camp. You really learn a lot. You're able to really interact one-on-one with you. And well, who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? The community in the Discord pulls up other members in the community, and you can interact in general chat. And then when you have specific questions, you can go to the Ask Corey section. It's all there for you. You just have to do it. You're happy. Get a bunch of small wins, you get happier and happier.
So you heard my student Mike had to say, if you want this to be your success story, the link to join Discord and get started is below. I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. So what should you do on Palantir? You should definitely be looking at the options chain and looking for a potential signal that the stock is going to run. And what I typically look for is the fear and greed indicator will start to turn greedy. But not only that, the MACD will start to go up, and I'll look at the 1 hour and 30-minute chart to gauge movement. And when a big green candle starts breaking above 150 and closing, you know you're in a bullish run on Palantir. And based off of this movement right here and holding this level at 148, it definitely looks like it's priming for a movement this Friday going into Monday. And considering earnings is on August 4th, it doesn't surprise me. I would definitely keep your eye out on Palantir. It's very hard to say 100%. So essentially, it's hard to say for sure. This could be a bearish hedge on the stock. It's a little unlikely, but it's possible. But it does point to a lot of bullish momentum on this stock. So essentially, like I said, what I would be looking for is this Friday and Monday, I'm going to be watching the stock and looking for signs of this movement. And in order to gauge that, on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart, there's a line right about the 150 mark, which is right about here. We want to see a green candle on the 30-minute chart close above 150. If a green candle closes above 150 and the next candle, the next 30-minute candle, even if it's bearish, if it rejects the 150, that's good. Or if it goes up even more, that's also good. So you're either going to enter on the second 30-minute candle, which means you got a 30-minute candle that closes above like this. If the next candle is green going up and it looks like it's going to close right around here or anywhere above, as that green candle is going up, that would be your entry. However, if that candle turns bearish and heads back down but bounces off of 150 and the next 30-minute and the one after that are bullish, which is the 1-hour candle, then you know there's a movement coming. And typically it will look something like this on Tesla. You'll see like a big candle, but the difference is it won't be like in a U shape like that. It'll look something like this, like on American Airlines. So if you see a big candle like this, obviously the stock Palantir is at a high, as you can see, so it's completely level right here. If we go over to American Airlines, that's what it would look like. You'd see these big green candles. Once we see one close here and the next one starts green here, you would enter, and that it would be a very good position going forward because that would be bullish. And that's what we're looking for on Palantir. I showed you guys the options. I explained you the dark pool data that I'm looking at. This is a lot of hedging going on. Look how much it's bouncing on the top of this range. It is crazy. I would definitely be safe on this looking at Palantir. You don't want to just dive right in, but it looks like Palantir is on the cusp of having another run where it could potentially make it to $200 by the end of the year. So if you want to get in on that run, this looks like it's priming to be that run. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I'll see you on the next upload and in the Discord real soon. Link to join Discord is below if you want to make the profits like my students are that you can see on the screen right now. I would love to make this your reality and help you achieve your goals. We'll see you real soon. Take care of yourselves, fam.